Alright, well, hello everyone. Welcome to ASF Behind the Scenes Armageddon, for Armageddon that is, for the ASF's big event. It's Mr. A.K.I. here and Dr. Eggman to cover all the events in and around as usual. I've started this video off straight away because it's very late and, and me and him would like to get some rest. Although we're going to try and act alive as possible. He might fall asleep though, but hey, it wouldn't be that bad. It's not the first time he's done it. Oh, shut up. Don't start that. So, this event is scheduled to be about an hour, 1 hour and 50 minutes, so it's just under the 2-hour mark. So we've got a bit of a track ahead of us. I'm already rubbing my eyes, that's a bad sign. But unexpected things happened today, but we finally got around to doing this. But it probably won't be uploaded today, so you'll probably be hearing this in a future time slot. I don't know when, probably tomorrow, I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, so there's a few things to talk about here anyway to keep us alive, so that's all good. To start off, I'm going to have a drink. Is that really something to talk about? It's for me. Well, there you go. There's the opening part here. For the intro video, it isn't going to be copyrighted by YouTube because the actual part isn't copyrighted by YouTube this time, unlike Survivor Series, which I got wrong. But no, this part is not. Because that's obviously that opening video, the shot of the championship belt, is the opening for the Backlash, WWE Backlash of 2005, I believe, just after WrestleMania 21, where it was Triple H and Batista 2 for the championship, and you know there was flashes of the championship, and Triple H was talking about to Batista saying, "You're on borrowed time, and you won because I allowed you to," and all that crap that he usually says. So that's where that championship flash image was from. I think the editing was almost spot on, but if you pause it at some points, you might see Triple H's ugly face at some point. But that's only if you're very quick on the draw. So there's an interesting little factoid there to start off. And also, that's another thing we can talk about is the artwork here. Obviously, was not actually done by anyone. I've actually forgotten the person that did do the artwork. I just found this picture and I thought that looks really, really cool for an for a title, especially for Armageddon. And seeing as you know, Metal Sonic was one of the biggest stories of this event, fighting Luigi in the No Holds Barred match, which I did schedule to be reasonably huge, and indeed it was. I think it was one of the most favourite matches on this show for some people. Yeah, so that was artwork I found on DeviantArt, because I usually go around finding art of all sorts and I just really like that piece. I will have to go and search for the person who did that. I'd like to give them credit where credit is due. But I did ask them originally if I could use it for the show, and they agreed. So I've just forgotten the person who said that. So I will go and have to look that up. But I want to thank that person regardless if they do happen to be watching this or not. That you know, that was a really cool picture to have for the show to put on there. This is when we actually really started with doing some fancy work with the match screens in general. Yeah, we went into some detail there with the Metal Sonic's face, and then of course No Way Out we started introducing a background to the match screens, like with No Way Out. Like I said, I found a picture with an explosion with chains coming out, and I thought, that is so No Way Out. And then with the ASIF, we had just blue stripy bits going past, and instead of having this big white clearing around characters that we do have on here still. But I was really looking to upscale the look and feel of the show at this point. I don't know why I didn't think of that in the first place, but hey. but yeah, just updating the look and the feel of everything to make it that little bit more official looking, rather than just looking like I just slapped a bunch of pictures together and on a white background with some decoration around it. So yeah, and of course Mascot Rumble as well, so I had the background of the road. And I think I've said this before, but you know, I tried to make it look like a car. They were inside a car, like an out the top kind of view of a car. But you know what I mean? Like it was a convertible. Yeah, I guess so. We're going to Mascot Mania in a convertible. Hey, we're going in style. Yeah, maybe a lowrider. I don't know. Is Eddie Guerrero coming? I don't know. So yeah, a lot of other things happening on this show. We had the debut of our ring announcer Kanina, who of course has been providing us a few small ideas for the show up until this point, and well, she still does. But you know, she said, you know, I could do ring announcing, and I was like, F yeah. You know, I never had that thought to have the ring announcer in the first place. This, by the way, is the last match the Games Guru ever appeared in. So we're witnessing a bit of history here, for sure. So after this match, I actually deleted the Games Guru from the memory card and said, that's it, his career is over, because I haven't got anything left, because this was a bonus match that we didn't even schedule for Armageddon, but I just wanted the show to start off with, like, wouldn't it be ironic if we had the Games Guru have his last match here, and because it's Armageddon, and we just laughed at that, and then, but we said, we'll just do it anyway, as a little joke. And Mario needed something to do. He hadn't been on the show for, well, not as much as he had been. Like I said, after he lost the world title, fell into obscurity again because he's hard to write for. So it's just like, we need to make sure that Mario is still on the show, and we need to give Guru his last match. So it fit like a glove with these two, because they've had some really big rivalries in the past on Retro ASF. Yeah, it was almost, in a way, for me, not so much for you or anyone else, but for me this was a closure for the Games Guru, and a correct one, because he had so many great matches with and rivalries with Mario. So it was those two were made for each other. You know, Mario was the all-knowing Games Guru, I know how to conquer you, and Mario was the legendary figure of video games. So it was just always a popular clash for Retro ASF. So this was the correct closure, even though we laughed about it. I feel, and there we go. That's the world's quickest match. We haven't even hit the 10-minute mark. The end of this video, and the match is already over. But there you go, Games Guru's last match, but a fitting end to a legacy that nobody knew about. Oh dear, I joke about that too much. But no, I had some fun with the Games Guru. But now, he was more. The Games Guru was definitely more of a character that used speech and talking a lot. So, seeing as I couldn't utilize that here, and his design looked terrible as well, but I thought he would be a good addition for the show, because I kind of like that character that he's from, because he's from a televised series way back. I think it was on Sky over here in the UK called I think it was called Gamesville or something. I don't know. I'll have to look that up as well. But yeah, he was just, and everyone always used to ask him for cheat codes and strategies to certain games, and he would be very eccentric, and I loved his character, and that's why I just had him on the show. But, you know, and when it came to the policy of this show of having video game characters, he didn't fit the bill. But, you know, it would make sense to have the master of the games with the game characters. But the run soon eventually just ran out, and I've just noticed that this video has stopped. So we'll go to part 2 and I'll continue on about that. So, yeah, so it was a simple case of just... He needed to be removed. I couldn't write for him anymore. His life as you know, his usefulness had worn out, I think is the popular term, or, you know, you've exceeded your bandwidth. Is that a term? It is now. I've just invented it. You have exceeded your bandwidth, sir. No more. So, what was I going to talk about next? I know I was going to talk about something. Oh yeah. Well, this is the comeback of Shadow, and coming off of a hell of a load of momentum already going into this match, even though we hadn't been building a rivalry up, so to speak. It had just been an issue of just showing some eyeballs flashing on the screen whenever Sonic was around. You know, and him going, what's all that about? And all that stuff. But this is me getting into my Shadow groove and finding a comfortable position for him rather than the main event. As much as many people may hate me hearing that, but I think Shadow is not a main event material person, but he is definitely the glue now that holds the mid card together. So I'm very happy with the outcome, all in all, in terms of production and everything and how it's come out. Yeah, so why is it when I'm tired I think better? I don't know, but you just keep going, I'll just have a rest. So, still rubbing my eyes though, can't deny that. You are, but carry on. Right. You're not rubbing your eyes, you're just closing them. Yeah, and I don't need to watch anything that just comes up that you mention, I'll just talk about. Fair dues. You just go and die on a sofa. Just shut up and talk about what you're supposed to be talking about instead of taking a mick out of me. Right, okay. So yeah, Shadow is coming back, and obviously the comeback was amazing. You were a part of it, or your character was a part of it, as was Mandy. I didn't mind using those two as the comeback victims, so to speak, because it was like I didn't want him to be lashing out on Sonic just yet. And speaking of this, of course, we're delaying it even more here. For those of that are watching and not just listening, you know, the big delay. And then Sonic comes out wearing this ridiculous looking... I guess we can pull this joke out now. He's looking like a S.H.I.E.L.D. member. Oh, God. No, it was a successful faction, but still, Sonic is part of the S.H.I.E.L.D. No. So yeah, we had that little intro. So that was nice in a way. Of course, Sonic still had Shadow's emerald, so to speak, back then, but this was the end of the whole emerald thing. Just Shadow got rid of it, we can say, because that was really stupid having that in their hand constantly. You know, I was considering just making it an entrance and a thing, and then removing it for when the matches came on, but it just stayed there. But yeah, we finally got the clash that everyone wanted, kind of, even though this was the start of it. So obviously we had to throw in Chaos, the unbeaten guy for the Intercontinental title. It was only necessary and made sense to put him in there, so to deny everyone straight away of just a one-on-one battle between these two. And then of course it escalated and got bigger, and we had the unsanctioned match, which was very fun to make and call. One of the very, very big highlights that I had for our regular show, that wasn't a part of a big event, was the unsanctioned match between those two, and it was very fun and entertaining, and I loved every minute of it, and the atmosphere of how it was being conducted and presented and everything. Of the ASF having no affiliation with the damage these two are going to do to each other, and that we're not here to count a pinfall or a submission. They're just going to beat each other until there isn't anything left to beat, so to speak. So just love that. So the rivalry in general was just fun. It all played out and was very fun and very successful, and I think everyone liked it, more or less. When Sonic was being taken just that little bit more seriously, this was back then, so yeah. And Sonic is doing double duty on this night, because of course he's in the Hell in a Cell later, which we have to talk about, because I went nuts in storyline. Yeah, that was only because of me. Yeah, see what you done to me? You made me mad. Oh, always me. There's another thing I wanted to talk about as well with the little match intros. I think someone picked that up on that and actually enjoyed it. The little things we had just before the match starts, with the rotating screens spinning around showing different highlights, ironically enough, of the match just coming up. So it was kind of a foreshadowing of what's to come, which I thought would be rather cool. And that's the sound coming from that is also another WWE product. Specifically the Hell in a Cell DVD that they made with all like the first 15 or 16 or so Hell in a Cell matches they ever had. And that was the intro for that. You saw the cell spinning around with the images of the match in it, just showing to you. So I thought that would be really cool, and it was Armageddon, and it needed to be. I wanted to have this event to have its own kind of vibe and feeling, so that it would be standing out and rememberable, because that's what I want the Raw events to be. At the end of the day, is the standalone ones that need to be just as special as the ones that have a combined effort of both Raw and SmackDown participants. So I tried to make everything stand out, on its own. And this one definitely, this idea just came to me, and I thought that would be really cool. And I had a little punchline or phrase for every little scene for every match. For this one, it was obviously the return of Shadow. Here it comes. It's going to come, and it's going to be amazing. And then we had your match with, or Eggman's match with A.K.I, and it was, I put end of the road with a question mark, just to build that little bit of extra suspense and everything. And for Amy and Cream, it was championship or abduction or something like that, because that was the storyline there. And then. Don't know what Sonic was doing just then, but there you go. That's the AI. But then we had, so it was Metal, Sonic and Luigi, and it was like the trap is set, because, Metal had wanted this match, and, he was going to get Luigi back for costing him the championship on Raw. Just something, again, for those two to do, but, I felt like we needed to push the issue that Metal wanted the championship back, which indeed he does at this point. The first ASF World Champion on YouTube. So I thought, now is the time that he will want it back after having his rivalry with Metal Knuckles. Now that that is done, he can refocus his attempts at trying to get it back. And, this was just filling in the gap so we could extend that out to the point where we're still doing it, of him trying to get it back. And of course that will culminate at Mascot Mania when the time comes. If he's going to win the championship or not, I will leave that up to speculation. But I love that storyline of someone trying to get back, what they lost all that time ago. For some reason, I just love that concept of just, I got distracted. Now I'm coming back, and I'm coming back full force for that championship, and there's nothing that's going to stop me, etc. So, and we're also going to escalate that rivalry between him and Knuckles, by the way. For those of you interested in when the comeback, when we have the comeback of the comeback, whatever that means. Whatever that does mean. What does that mean? We're coming back, that's what it means. But we're coming back in true spectacular fashion. Yeah, we've got an interesting concept and storyline for him and Knuckles when we do the comeback, like I said. So yeah, look forward to that. If everyone wants a clue, should I give them a clue? What would you say is a clue, though? I think I will say telephones. Let the rumours start flying. Oh, there you go. Sonic tapped out to Shadow's evil submission move. There isn't a comeback move. I always thought it was a comeback move, but it wasn't a comeback move. We just employed it to Shadow after he won the world title, I believe. So yeah. But yeah, that's what I'll say for Metal Sonic and Knuckles is telephones. That's just weird. Don't listen to him, he's being an idiot. No, I think telephones is a good hint. Right, anyway. Yeah. So Shadow wins the Intercontinental Championship, and we have the dominant reign of the Intercontinental Championship, and he's also keeping the mid card all in touch. So so many pluses came out of this match, and I was glad when it was over and done with. And you know, the future was bright for Shadow, more brighter than it has been. Yeah, what a comeback! Greatest comeback in the ASF history, maybe. We've had some great comebacks, but yeah, that definitely ranks up on YouTube, especially, as one of the best comebacks. So this next match coming up is A.K.I versus Eggman for the career-threatening match. I think this was back in, I love the concept of having, this was almost taken off the Ric Flair kind of rivalry he was, or storyline he was doing when, it kind of fit. I didn't really base it off of the career-threatening matches that Ric Flair had, but it seemed like a fitting thing to do, especially as Eggman was poised to get rid of everything that Star had at the time, which is now, of course, we were busy having a panic attack behind the scenes at this point about who was going to be the new general manager, because Star has just suddenly left without saying anything, or saying that she wanted to leave the show until I said, where are you? And then she just said, I don't want to do it anymore, but you can keep Star on the show and do whatever you want with her, and I don't mind, and whatever. And well, okay, but we need a new one then, because if you can't talk, then there wouldn't be any point in you being a general manager, because the whole purpose of a general manager is be able to make matches and rules and have, tell people what to do and have promos and everything. So yeah. Eggman still has the reverse colours on his suit with the yellow stripes and the white buttons, but as I pointed out at Survivor Series, I think. So yeah, that was still a thing that nobody noticed, but it's still here now. But we've changed it since. I'm not sure when exactly we changed it, but we changed it. And that was thanks to Kanina as well. She pointed that out for me. Well, I didn't even notice. But for the most part, just like I'd forgotten his design exactly. I think this is white and this is yellow, but it wasn't. It was the other way around. So yeah, thanks to Kanina for the updated look of Eggman, just swapping the colours around for the buttons and the stripes. So yeah, but we still got it here. I actually wasn't intending for this match to go the way it was. Oddly enough, this match was going to be a loss for A.K.I. But ever since we were having the issue with Star and she was going to disappear, I wanted still a piece of, I thought Aki would be great now just as a singles competitor doing his own thing. And so the match was going to, so we had Aki win the match instead. But in fact, that's the reason behind why we had the 3 stages of hell stipulation by you, because the original match was just going to be this, oddly enough, as short as it was. But I think it was good enough. But like I said, I don't want Aki to become a big part of the story. So this was just going to be it. But Aki wins. No, hang on, what am I talking about? This wasn't the original match. No, the original match was much shorter. But then when we realised that we needed to extend it out and have Aki, we just, on the spot, we just said, right, you're going to make this because now you have the authority and the power, because you've won the general manager thing in storyline terms, that you're going to make the match 3 stages of hell. Because Aki beats you straight off the bat. Opened it up a bit more and established Aki as just a better singles competitor than what he should have been. What he was originally planned to be, but Star's disappearance just needed him to stick around and just be a good singles competitor to help with the Raw roster, if that makes any sense. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Just he's adding to the roster, so because it was small enough as it was. Because I think even after the draft that we had, because it was an even number of swapped people, so the Raw roster was actually still smaller than the SmackDown one. But then again, you needed all the tag teams for the SmackDown, so that was necessary to keep as many people on there as possible. Then it was Raw, because Raw was full of singles competitors. So, yeah. So that's the other reason we wanted Aki to stick around as well, I believe. Yeah, and then Star really just pushed us over and said, right, Aki needs to stick around and just be a singles competitor, because he's no longer going to support Star, so now he can just be there to help put other people over and give them victories and whatever. So in a sense, after this, he almost became a jobber, even though we shouldn't have maybe done that. But he hasn't really scored any big major victories ever since this point. This was a big win, I still feel. We made it feel like a big win, but we didn't capitalize on it. Like I said, I don't want to put my character that I've made at the forefront of the show ever, in particular. So he's just going to be a filler character, and he will just be there to supply people with matches if necessary, and we don't want to ruin anyone else's momentum, so to speak. So he was still filling that role. So yeah, it was one of those just little matches that just came about, and then suddenly it became just that little bit more epic, because we needed Aki to at least establish himself as a fan favourite, because he overcame the odds of Eggman making the match right off the bat, a 3 stages of hell with the different stipulations added in place with the no countouts and then a table match. So yeah, and then whenever he's been in some big profile matches since. I mean, he was in more recently the triple threat match with Mel, Sonic and Mario to decide who would be coming in last to the Raw Mascot Rumble match portion of the night. And he did that match twice, and one of them was in a steel cage. So So, and of course he was up for the voting for the main event at ASIF, and he did get voted in. Oddly enough, I didn't think he would be, but there you go. What do I know? You don't know a lot. Oh, thanks a bunch. So yeah, so Aki's kind of like become a hidden favourite somehow, but hey, I don't mind. And I might reward the fans' loyalty to Aki, even though I never intended him. At some point I may reward it, and the fans might get a nice satisfying victory for Aki. Who knows? Stop spoiling stuff. Yeah, so anyway, moving on. What else can we talk about here? Was it your idea to make the whole thing Eggman be popular with tables? I think I recall once we were at what we were doing the show originally. You were talking about the fact you never wanted to be. Oops, I'll stop it there. Hang on a minute. Was it your idea to make because you said you never wanted to be associated with tables and ladders and everything, but and then suddenly you start becoming a Dudley boy in a sense, then start utilizing tables more and and everything like that. Oh, so here's the cheap victory by Aki, because how else was he going to beat you? Oh no, wait, no, I take it all back. I think he tried to get a cheap victory, or did he actually pin you? No, I think I did get counted out. Yeah, so then I made the excuse of no countouts, because that was the plan. That's why I made no countouts for the next match. And then tables, just because you didn't want it to be that spectacular, but you still wanted it to be a little bit epic. And the only way Wario, who was at the announce table with you at the time, we could bring him into play, was the best way to do that was we said do the double team in the corner and have me just fly through a table in the most dramatic fashion possible, and that's what we did. So to have a strong, powerful ending to end it all and overcome evil old Eggman me. Just it was a nice ending. Just it worked. So yeah, you do get a count-out victory here, because I mean, look, I've just opened my eyes and you're on the outside. Aki has a finisher ready, I assume. Yeah. So Aki does get the cheap count-out victory, and then we can make the count-outs match make sense instead of just saying no count-outs. So now I can do exactly the same as what you've been doing in the first place, like pinning me, in other words. So yeah. Trying to get the count-out victory here, so then we can make the no count-outs match make sense. But you were asking about the tables. Yeah, did you just did you just decide to make it that match because you wanted it to be in your character, or what? Well, like you said, you didn't want anything that spectacular, but you wanted something which we could bring Warrior in, so a table match just makes sense, and then you could do like a double team on me through the table. So that was it. I feel like I've said that twice now. I think maybe you have. I don't know. We're too sleepy to worry about that. Having deja vu. I'm not dreaming this, am I? No, you were dreaming the bit before. Ah, I see. All is good and clear. So yes, I was really trying to get you. I'm trying to get Eggman here to stay down on the outside. Trying to do a finisher there on the outside, because obviously I'm playing as Aki here, because he's supposed to be the one getting Eggman to the outside, because the computer's never going to do that. And here comes the magic moment. Hey! I believe, because that was the finishing move when the referee's at a 7 count, and there's no way you're going to get up from that. So, yeah. There you go. So the no countouts made sense, and it wasn't that epic. So it wasn't 3 stages of hell, it was just 3 excuses for hell. Because like you said, we already had the big no holds barred match coming up, and also of course big Hell in a Cell match coming up. So yeah, the rare occasion where you'll see Aki with a victory, but still, it was a nice big one for the fans, I think. Have that feel-good moment kind of thing. And his career will continue, and has continued ever since. Even if it's just being a spare part. But, don't let that my comments degrade you from liking him. Because like I said, it might pay off. Shut up. So, yeah, this match is going to stretch out, but hey, this event is 2 hours long and fair dues, and we're half an hour into it. So we've got about another hour and a half to go through. Don't make it sound like a hardship. Yeah, it's not a hardship. Speaking of which, I'm going to have another drink. Oh, ho, ho. Right, so I guess we can talk about some other matches. We can talk about the next match coming up, because that isn't exactly very long. So I guess we'll get it in now. Is talking about simply a case of what was I going to say? Yeah. We wanted the so we were continuing the story between Amy and Cream, essentially, because those were the only two really females we had to work with. And of course, at this point, we've done the abduction angle with Tikal, and so now was time for the swinging swerve of turning Tikal from face to heel. So we had well, Amy of course was gonna win the match. No, actually, no, Cream won the match, didn't she? Because that's when she gets the women's championship back. So she's a two-time champion. And then she was going to abduct Amy anyway to be the heel. And then we were going to make it seem like she was going to abduct Amy as well. And then here comes, down comes Tikal with a steel pipe in her hand, you know, saying, and we're like, whoa, there's Tikal and everything. And she's come back out of hiding. She managed to break out of wherever she's being held. And, you know, and then she's going to come and save Amy from being abducted like she was. And then suddenly the big swerve happens and they both abduct Amy. And that moment where I always like that moment where someone turns on someone by hitting them with a weapon. I just like, and now we've done it in the ASF. It's just like, that's the icing on the cake for this being a wrestling show, because someone has turned on someone by hitting them with a weapon, and therefore turned heel. I don't know how well the heel turn went for the fans, but I think it worked pretty well for the most part for what storyline we could do with the females at this time. You know, it was one of the better ones that we did. You know, it's surprising what you can do with a limited roster. You have to do double the effort to make it fun and exciting, and that's exactly probably what we inevitably did. Inevitably. Shut up. So yeah, so nice Tikal heel turn here, and then they both abducted Amy, and then we brought in the whole new storyline with everyone else. So it was very fun. Just adding in more people as it went on, and made it more epic and bigger, even if we had a limited female roster at the time. Because, like I said, I tried to put every championship and division at the forefront from everything else. So every single championship needed to be important, unlike the WWE's philosophy, you know. So, yeah. I always hate bringing up that show, but hey, when you're trying to compare yourself to someone who thinks they're the best company on the planet, that needs to be addressed. You know, if they're doing it, I can do it much better. And they're apparently better. They're supposed to be doing a better job than we are, but they're not. So I try and make every division still as important as every other thing, but always make the big championships the focal point. That's why you put them in the main event and everything. And make them the biggest storylines. But that doesn't mean the other championships can't have big storylines as well, because like I said, Shadow now has become the glue for the mid card, being the Intercontinental Champion, and it's kind of elevated the Intercontinental Championship even more than what it was in the first place, with it being held by Chaos beforehand and Link. So yeah, definitely it got elevated once Shadow picked it up, I think. So there's Eggman with a sitting on Aki's face victory, as horrible as that would sound. And then we're going to have this table match, which doesn't actually last very long, because table matches usually don't, as they would. So yeah. Whoop. I think we've covered everything to talk about with the females, maybe. Yes, here we go. This was the really quick match. I was actually playing as Eggman, and because I thought, well, we're gonna do the turnaround anyway, and then set this up horribly. Because of course I was controlling everyone at this point. Aki had to climb over the table here in order to get in there quickly while Eggman was still against the thing there, and then we just throw him through. Hooray! And he broke his frickin' neck. Ouch. That turned into Christopher Walken there. Don't know why I would do that. Ouch. Oh, right. Yeah, Wario makes an impact from being on the announce table to being in the action on a Raw event, even though it's SmackDown. He's a SmackDown guy, but hey, it's all part of the anything can happen in the ASF kind of factor. So yeah. Then you come back all selling your anger and everything and frustration, and including the fact that you don't agree with the main event stipulation. But that was all us just trying to make me seem very loyal to Mandy, which indeed I was supposed to be. So it was just putting emphasis on that fact that I actually cared for her in that kind of context and aspect. So yeah, I think that match needed to be done. Well, in terms of, on screen, I didn't agree with it, but otherwise, I wholeheartedly agreed that I needed to show my loyalty to Mandy, and the only way best to do it was to put her in a compromising situation, which I didn't like, and I didn't feel like, or my character didn't like, and my character would feel uncomfortable with that person's client being in the match. How did she get into the World Championship match this early anyway? Were we just going to say, right, let's go full throttle with this? Or was it... who made that decision? It's because you became general manager and automatically said Mandy's going to be facing, throwing the authority weight around. She was going to face the World Champion, whoever that may have been, be it Metal Sonic or Knuckles, but we know who it turns out to be. Which is Knuckles, of course. Yeah, so that was you throwing your authority around, and then I just went full board and threw my authority around instead, and said, fine, Mandy's in, but we're having a Hell in a Cell match, and we're going to have 2 other people to join him, and it's going to be an elimination. And, it was almost like a kind of a hit. Or a take that of the WWE, because once again, but because this is proof that I really don't like that show. Even back in the day, I didn't like it that much. I was definitely more of a WCW guy. As painless as everyone thinks, but there might be other WCW guys or ECW guys or whatever. I was one of those people. Whenever I got to see ECW, it wasn't very often, but whenever I did, I was like, wow, this is really cool. So the Hell in a Cell match, just me throwing it in there and saying this is what's going to happen. Hell in a Cell elimination, 2 people, 4 people, bleh, was almost a knock on to the WWE, because I feel like every single Armageddon event they do or did, they didn't put much thought into it. Let's look at some of the stuff here. I mean, we've got a simple case of it was one of the Armageddons, I think, whatever Armageddon that Goldberg was defending his championship in, and then we was defending against Triple H and Kane, and I didn't think the storyline was very far thought out. Obviously, Triple H needed to win the championship back at this point because Goldberg's contract was expiring, but putting Kane in there as well, just for the hell of it, to follow up with his momentum from having an ambulance match and all that shit, and being unmasked, and it just really felt really cheaply put together. Just suddenly Kane bursts into Eric Bischoff and says, I want Goldberg and I want the World Championship, and they just made the match, and it felt really sloppy. And also there was other main events, where they had, I think it was Batista and John Cena team up when they were both champions to take on King Booker and Finlay. And I was like, what kind of fucking main event is that? Compared to the other shows on that match card in particular, we had a last ride match between Mr. Kennedy and The Undertaker, and we had an Inferno match with MVP and Kane, and we had a Fatal 4-Way ladder match, tag team ladder match, and that was just an insane show. And you're going to end it with 2 champions that aren't defending their championships against 2 opponents which we know you're going to beat anyway, because it's John Cena and Batista, for fuck's sake, on the same team, both being champions at the time. Of course they're going to win. So that just felt really unoriginal as well, and uncreative, and just putting Cena and Batista on pedestals when they didn't need to be put on pedestals because they were already there. And just using Booker and Finlay as pieces on the board, so to speak. So, I always feel like the main event for Armageddon has been just badly put together, or on the whole. I mean, take a look at the 2001. Just let's put 6 guys in the Hell in a Cell and go absolutely mad, and then they did. Why did they put them all in there? Just for the fuck of it. They just did. And then we didn't even have one in 2001, so that was the creative team on that front. Here's the main event for Armageddon. There isn't an Armageddon. And then 2002's Armageddon was just Triple H and Shawn Michaels having a rivalry again because Triple H wanted the championship back because he's a selfish bastard. But that's another story. And they just made it 3 stages of hell and had a street fight in a cage and a ladder match. It just felt another cheap match to put over those 2 as being the top guys on Raw, and to help Triple H win the title back or whatever and all that bull. So every single Armageddon really to me has just been, we had another one with a fatal 4-way match with, here's JBL defending his championship. Let's have him face 3 people that he's beaten for it. Even if they weren't accurate victories. But hey, he's supposed to be the heel character. But he's going to face them again anyway in a Fatal 4-Way match, which was Booker T, Eddie Guerrero, and The Undertaker. So that was another Armageddon sham main event to me. So in a way, this main event for Armageddon for All One was again another sloppy excuse. Just like the WWE ones. But we're saying we can do it better because... and I'd never hardly done that kind of match before. We'd had Fatal 4-Way... No, actually, we'd never had Fatal 4-Way Hell in a Cell matches, period. Let alone an elimination one in the Hell in a Cell in Retro ASF. If we had, I'd dread to think what would bloody happen, seeing as I had a bit more creative freedom on that front. But we never had 4 people in the Hell in a Cell and had an elimination match in the Hell in a Cell as well, so... And both aspects, it was a never before thing happen, and I wanted to put also the emphasis that the end, it was the Armageddon and it was the end of everything, and just like following the roots from the 2000 Armageddon that the WWE did, just throw everyone in there and make a blast of it, and make it an elimination match to top it off. So yeah, there you go. There's the botch from the that I was talking about, that I wanted on Botch at Glitchamania. She jumps over the ropes and hits the referee. And once again, I try to hit Amy again when she's on the floor, and jumps straight over her this time, off the second time. So, oh dear. I mean, I've brought that botch up before in the past, so I just thought there it was right there. We've just seen it. I was just trying to make it look like a botch. So, yeah, it's possible to still have botches, and we still do them on the show. In fact, I fancy making at some point my own personal botch show, just going through all these old events again and then saying, well, that was a mistake. Let's just put that into the video or whatever. So that might come in the near future, who knows? Or in the far future, I don't know. I don't know the timeline anymore. I just know we're coming back in April, and that's it. So, let me see. Is this where Cream wins? Yep, Cream's going to win. So yeah, the Armageddon match for this main event was simply a... that was actually a mistake. Amy was facing the other way around. And then I suddenly, when she started kicking her, just put her around the other way. That was a little bit of a mistake there in itself. Don't know why I did that, but hey, maybe I just wanted to look up someone's skirt. I became one of them, and we just had a convenient sledgehammer be put on the side there. How many times did I have to go through all the weapons just to get that? It probably actually wasn't that many times, but yeah, I had to, obviously in pre-production to this happening, I had to find a sledgehammer, because that was going to be Cream's weapon of choice to take out Amy here. Ready for this comeback of Tikal, so to speak, and pledge her allegiance to her kidnappee, or kidnapper, I should say, being the kidnappee. The kidnappee. That's your input for it, is it? Yeah. I'm getting very tired. So yeah, so I always like doing the shots of the head, the kicks when someone's on the floor, because it really looks like they're just kicking their head in, and you can really sell that as, being here's to Carl and Cream's backing away, don't hit me, stopping the abduction, so to speak, and then suddenly Tikal backs up, turns around very clumsily and hits me. What I didn't want to happen, I think I rehearsed this a few times actually, is I didn't realise that Tikal wouldn't turn around from me just focusing in on her if I swung the weapon, so I had to turn around first and then swing the weapon, which kind of took it back a bit, but hey. And I screwed up here because I couldn't do double team moves, so I just resorted to punching, and Amy had a chance there to escape, but was not to be. So we had a few mess ups here, but hey, it was all good. At the end of the day, I think the ending result was, wow, Tikal has turned heel, and here we go. And Amy's been abducted now, and who knows where she's going to be taken off to. Not that we had a small enough roster in the first place, but hey, that's why we were going to introduce Star into more matches and have Mindy do that as well. She was going to be a part of the women's division, obviously. Now that the thing with Mandy was technically over, so to speak. It was just a small little thing to hold Mandy over. So yeah, this is 1 hour into the show. So these two matches to come up next are going to fill up, they're about half an hour each. So we've got a little bit of a way ahead. But hey, I'm glad that they reached the length that they did, especially this match, because I wanted this match to go everywhere. Seeing as the Hell in a Cell was going to be rather restricted with what we could do, if we had 4 people on the show, but they could only be on the match, but they could only be restrained to the Hell in a Cell. I wanted this match to just go everywhere, to have that sense of freedom before the Hell in a Cell, because then you could sell the fact that they were locked in, unlike this match where they could just let loose everywhere. So yeah, that was the other reason why I had this match created the way it was. Just I wanted Metal Sonic to be like, don't get in my way, because otherwise I'll kick your ass when it comes to the championship, and also to sell the fact that these guys had maximum freedom to do what they wanted to each other, whereas in the Hell in a Cell they were imprisoned and caged and restricted, and just made a better product at the end of the day. Even though at the end, of course, we broke out of it. There was actually a few mistakes in the Hell in a Cell. I had some of the walls breaking, or I had at least one wall break. And then I had to transition from that. I didn't want to transition back into a cell that had just been repaired, so I had to record the match for the final between Knuckles and Sonic, and then had to obviously break the same panels before going to record the match. And I tried to remake it so it would come back to, they would be in the same position as what they were when Mandy got eliminated, so it all kind of synchronized up and everything. It didn't look stupid or anything. So yeah. But that was an issue that needed to be addressed, because I didn't want to restart the match with a perfect cell that hadn't been damaged when it was. So I kind of kept with the continuity, which was nice. But yeah, that wasn't intentional to break one of the wall panels before Mandy had been eliminated. It was going to be down to Sonic and Knuckles, and they were going to break part of the cell and then do the whole roof thing. Do the whole roof gig, so to speak. Because that's always an element I find that's missing now from Hell in a Cell, is no one's allowed to fall off the top. I know they teased it quite recently on the last Hell in a Cell event with the WWE, because you told me to watch that match, and I did. Eggman? Yeah, I told you to watch that because, it was first time in a long time that anyone had been on the roof of that thing, and that was actually the bigger one, compared to the smaller one that they've had. So that was a nice thing to watch, so that's why I got you to watch it. And I did, and it was like, wow, they're on top. It's amazing. Are there any of them going to fall off? And then they both fall off. But they didn't fall off from the roof. They fell off from the wall. I don't know how dangerous it would be now. Would Mick Foley really fall off that bigger cell? Everyone's going to ask themselves now. Yeah, probably not. But who knows? I think his safety would have definitely hit if it was that tall of a cell. Yeah. But, it's a lost art form that needs to come back. Because we've always had people falling off the roof. Even Rikishi did it. Even though it was on a bitload of truck that was protected and everything. It was still a spectacular sight to behold. Even though Foley's fall was much better because it was just falling straight onto a table. And all of them, in fact, were really good. The one where he falls through the ring and then the ring implodes and whatever. And, all of them were really good. So I just needed that. Every time I have the Hell in a Cell match now, I need to have someone either fall off the roof or through the roof or both. If I can manage to get it in, then I will. Because it just makes the match that little bit more epic, and well, not that little bit. It makes it spectacular, and it makes it memorable. And and you can put someone, you can elevate someone. I know it's dangerous to do it in real life, but in terms of video game, you can do it, and by doing that, you can elevate someone So Knuckles has the credential of being someone to fall off the roof of the cell now, which puts him over as a legitimate guy, to beat. And Sonic got put through the cell, but that was thanks to Shadow, so that was kind of like a start to that. And also Shadow's been falling through the roof as well, thanks to Chaos. To end the unsanctioned match that I was talking about earlier. So they can say that they did that, and we can say that they did that, and it just adds to that person's character and their accomplishments, so to speak. Even though it's a bad thing to happen to you, but it's regarded pretty much in this kind of industry as a good thing to have the character do that. So I will always look for. So I will always look for the to throw someone off the cell or to put someone through it. And it'll make you famous, so to speak. Didn't you have 2 roof breaks with the Metal Sonic and Metal Knuckles match? I think it did, actually. We did, because we had the Sidewalk Slam, which wasn't scheduled, but it looked nice anyway. And then the Tombstone Power Driver. So yeah, we had 2 roof breaks on there, but that just shows you that the robots can really pound on each other, and that's what I wanted to represent. Because I think we only had 2 roof breaks because we didn't have the falling off the side of the cell spot, because there was no tables on that Pacific Arena, which was bad blood. Because like I said, this game is following the designs of back when this game was made, which was about 2004, 2005. It was copying the fact that the Raw announce tables were up on the stage area, and the SmackDown tables always stayed at ringside. But luckily, this event happened to have tables at ringside, because the Armageddon on this game is actually based off the SmackDown one. I think it was, like I said, it was the main event between JBL defending his title against 3 other people. So it was that one. So they had tables at ringside for this one, so that was a definite plus. We didn't have anyone at ASIF fall off the cell, for the simple reason that I didn't really want the match to be like that, because we were just going to have 4 people, and knowing the game's luck, I'll be up the top fighting with someone if anyone does ever come up, because it's kind of hard to get one person to follow you up in the Hell in a Cell if there's more than 2 people. And then we'll be fighting up top, and then someone down below will score a victory quite easily. So that's why I avoided that. So that's the only time that we didn't have a cell break or anything, or any of roof action. But the match was still the match, We got the shock ending and whatever, which was more important to me than what the match had. In that particular event anyway. But every other Hell in a Cell I try and do. I will try and have some kind of roof happening moment, because it's always fun to watch, and it's always really fun to call. We've had a blast calling those kind of matches, especially when that specific moment happens. So that was really fun in general just to do. And always is. Yeah, I definitely get a kick out of calling stuff when they're on top of the roof. Yeah. And I guess everyone knows now what the one night only next event will be, which is even though I haven't uploaded anything yet, but I will before I do this show. Before I do upload this, whenever I do. But yeah, everyone should know by now that the event is going to be Hell in a Cell. So, but I won't be doing a roof moment for every single match for that. Keep in mind, because otherwise that'd just be silly. But I will have some in there to throw some surprises in. So yes. There you go. We're going to go silent all of a sudden. I was falling asleep. I was almost then. Must have had another drink. Where are we on the video? We are. Yeah. We are. No holds barred. Okay. We're still kind of halfway through it. If not that, no, we're nowhere near halfway through it. Well, we kind of are, because, I definitely wanted this match to go everywhere. Kanina gave me the idea, once again, the brilliant mind of Kanina strikes. As funny as that made that sound, but actually she's very good at helping me do stuff. But she came up with the idea that if I did by chance get a trash can out from under the ring, that I should put it on top of one of the announce tables and then do the last ride move through the trash can on the table to add to the dramatic effect, and it will be really cool to watch as well. Just to see that happen, to drive someone through a trash can and the table all at once. But sadly, I never got around to getting a trash can out of the ring. And as you could see, if you have been watching this match, or if you remember what it goes like, I was trying to get a lot of weapons out and weapon usage from the get-go, which does help the fact that Metal Sonic wants vengeance in the worst way possible by using as many weapons on Luigi as possible. But it was also me just trying to find a trash can for that said moment. But I didn't find a trash can, so we had to solve that idea. But I made up for it by going through 2 announce tables rather than 1. Because originally it was just going to be 1 announce table with the trash can on top of it, but we didn't get that moment, so we ended up going through both tables just to make up. And of course, I wanted to take this match up onto the rampway, because I love it when you actually take the match outside of the ring for matches like this, because then you can sell the fact that the match is going to continue until they get back to the ring, and who knows what they're going to do to each other in this environment up on the stage. If only I could go backstage, then I would, but I was just trying to sell the fact that these guys were going to beat each other everywhere. And no holds barred is living up to its name. No, there is no holds barred. Anything will fly and is going to fly. I think I said there's a difference, I should say, between street fights and no disqualification matches, and Extreme Rules and no holds barred matches. Extreme Rules, you're just looking for a lot of weapon usage, just like hardcore matches, except of course the weapons are put in there in the ring in advance for encouragement to use them. But Extreme Rules matches should be like that. Street fights will just use the occasional weapon, and there'll be a lot of outside fighting, like around the ringside area. No disqualification matches, just weapons will be used, and we'll have the ring out count still on. And then no holds barred should just be full blown, just we're going to explode this match out, so people know to expect what to get out of that match, and that's how I separate all those different kind of matches. It's funny because they had that on Raw quite recently. There was a match between Chris Jericho and Paul Heyman, believe it or not. Okay. Carry on. Yeah, and they were asking the universe to vote for the stipulation, and there was 3 different stipulations, and there was a street fight, an Extreme Rules match, or a no disqualification match, or was it no holds barred? It was a combination of one of those 3. It was I think they've got it on Botchamania as well. The fact that Jerry tried to say maybe we should tell the people what the difference is between these matches, and then suddenly Vince is yelling down the microphone, "No, damn it, no!" Sounds hilarious. But yeah, I think I did see that on Botchamania, because I still watch that show because it never fails to amuse me. But yes, I remember that moment now. Thanks you for pointing that out. I didn't know you were up to date with that kind of stuff, so that's what I just said. But yeah, but that's what it should be. No disqualification. You're just going to use weapons. Then we take it a stage up by saying street fight. So then they're going to fight on the outside. And then we're going to say extreme rules, where lots of weapons are going to be used, and hardcore, where they can go anywhere and be beaten anywhere, with lots of weapon usage as well. And then no holds barred, you're going to get pinfalls can only happen in the ring, and they're going to go full force and use everything and go everywhere. And suddenly the weather has turned for the worst outside. It seems to be very windy and rainy. It's funny, it was really sunny earlier, kind of. It was windy, but it was sunny. Oh well, that's the weather over here, and what it's like over here in England, I suppose. Yeah, you're right. It's got Tourette's. It likes changing very quickly and being outrageous and stuff. So here's me trying to utilise more weapons. We're back at the ringside area. Now we've done the whole thing up on the stage. So now we're back down. And I'm trying to... the Metal Sonic stamina is not helping me find more weapons, because you can't actually pick up weapons when you've got no stamina in this game. It really hinders you from doing everything, the stamina on this game, which I can see why it frustrates people. But like I said, that's part of the strategy of pacing matches out on this game and being smart instead of just going willy-nilly with weapons and everything. So here comes the nice table spot. Despite the lack of stamina, I managed to pull it off, because I cannot find a trash can. So we'll just sod it. Let's go on to the other table as well at some point, if I can drag this match out for as long as I can, because this was back when we were still utilising time limits, and there was only 7 minutes left of this match, as you can see from the time frame below. But I've kind of done away with the time limits now, because I can see how long the match is in terms of pacing now from when I'm recording it. So I can make, if I want a really long match, I can make it really long without suddenly having a time limit draw. But sometimes the time limit draw has benefited in some cases. Not all the time, but it has helped, and it has helped other matches in the past, especially if you don't want anyone to lose. It's kind of nice just that they went the full time limit, and are we going to get this spot with a chair? That's what I was aiming for here, because I pick up a chair. Here we go. The chair is on the announce table. It's not a trash can, but it'll do. Hey, there you go. Even though we didn't actually land on the chair, it looked like he'd landed on the chair. But you know how wrestling goes. Yes. I keep on doing the same laugh. What's wrong with me? You're tired. Yeah, probably. You're having fun there, keeping your eyes closed. Yeah, it's bliss. If I could, I would, but I've got to look at what's going on so I know what I'm talking about. But you'll know what I'm talking about when I start talking about it, I suppose. So now has come the time to end the match, I think, around this point, because it was like we've done every spot, we've destroyed all the announce tables, we've done fighting off the staging area and fought in the bit below the stage, and now it's the time to end it. So this is when I was really trying to go for gold, and we have some kick-out moments here, I believe, from what memory serves. That was me trying to take a little bit of time for that one, because I wanted the match just to have that little bit more epicancy of after the choke slam, because I wanted to have the tombstone finish, have that perfect visual of him doing the arms crossing over and just going and just ending the match in true spectacular fashion. So yeah, That's what I was looking for in this, and luckily I think, from memory, I got it. So this match turned out. This was another one of those events which was very pleasing to record in general. I mean, it didn't go perfectly how it went. Not every match was straight off the bat victorious, but this one luckily was. This one was the first time recording it, and it paid off, and I was happy with the end result enough to say that's going to be the match that I put on the show. But the other matches that took place, it was kind of hard to do the Cream versus Amy one for some reason, because Amy obviously has more attributes than Cream, but that's just down to my bad decision making. But Cream had to win that match. That was harder than expected, regardless. Also, the triple threat match from the beginning didn't go very well for the first few tries. And I don't know. Wow, Eggman and A.K.I was all right for the most part for all the stages of different matches. And then the Hell in a Cell just went pretty well, all in all. I didn't cut, I don't think, a lot of things, but yeah. So, but this event was still one of the better ones to record in terms of how well everything was going. So yeah. But here we go. We're gonna get the perfect finish, I think. Just oh no, maybe not. Oh no, he kicks out. I didn't, because this was I'm still losing stamina here just then, so that was out of desperation, just going for that pin instead of going for the arms folded across the chest pin, whatever it's called. I think it's the kind of, I think it's referred to as just a crucifix pin or something, just a rest in peace pin or whatever. I don't know. Maybe you're right, there isn't a name for it. Oh well. But you know what I mean. I think everyone else knows what I mean. Yes. So yeah, this isn't a finisher for Metal, but it's a nice, still a big power bomb. Last ride, still copying some stuff from the Undertaker there. He hasn't used it much prior to this match, so you know it's one of the first few times that we actually see him do the last ride move. And I was really trying to end the match here, but things weren't going as planned, so the carnage was still continuing. But and the time was running very short, which I was very worried about. And Luigi wasn't helping here for sure. But it still came out as good, because at least I got a chance to end the match. Otherwise this would have been a failure on the first recording, because we would have had a time limit expire, which obviously I didn't want, because Metal Sonic needed to move on after this. We couldn't continue to have a rivalry with Luigi at the end of the day. And then we find out Luigi and Knuckles are in cahoots with each other in storyline terms, so, you know, it just continues on still. Anyway, but at this point we needed stuff to move on. So yeah. And I am glad that the fans voted for him for the ASIF main event, because it just made it that much better then. Right, he's in the main event, so we're going to once again steal it from right in front of his face. And he was got nothing to do with it, so he's still on the chase, so that's all good. And we actually have an outside moment here where if Luigi did do a submission on me, I would have lost. Because I think the bar does go all the way down to the point where Metal Sonic would have been submitting right there. There it is. I think that's it, yeah. So I did sell the fact that Luigi did make Metal tap, but it was on the outside of the ring, and of course the rules were they had to be inside. But you know, I think it put Luigi over as a legitimate fighter at this point, even that, just that one singular moment of the fact that I actually said on commentary that Metal was tapping on the outside there. And there we go. We just got an instant, quick victory. I didn't get the spectacular victory that I said I was going to do, so don't listen to me. But we just get the quick chokeslam victory, and there you go, and we overcame. And I got what I wanted. Because at that point it was just desperation, but that was the finish I was trying to look for. That's why I said, this event was fun to record, but there was a few hiccups here and there, and I was just saving the match before it had a time limit draw, but it was good enough. I didn't want to have to go through that match again, because it probably wasn't going to produce the same result. It might have produced a worse one. So yeah, that's the end of that part, by the way. Because that match took long enough, and yeah, it was a good enough product straight off the bat. So it was that decision to put this match on there. Cool. I am feeling the restraints of the day. You're not the only one. Oh dear, it's so late. Oh dear. But we've only got one more match to cover, and we've talked a lot about it already, so I don't think people might mind if we call it a night early. Who knows? But we'll see how things go. The Hell in a Cell there with the cage on the match screen there is actually it's not. I never liked it. We've got an updated cage look now. To use, which makes the faces more visible just that little bit, because the bars are too thick there on that one, and they're not necessarily all joined. It's just a bunch of stripes going along each other. It's not necessarily a cage look feel kind of thing, so that's changed. That the Armageddon is here thing at the bottom is actually a fuck up. Because I was intended it to be just one line, but here seems to be underneath Armageddon is, and that was not the intention. Because actually, whoa! I forgot all about that. Don't worry, I don't think I'm going to get in trouble for that. I hope not, because otherwise we'll be in big trouble. Where's the earliest we can start things off? Right there. Oh, I almost forgot all about that in my tiredness. What, the Sonic thing? Yeah, oh god, that was a close shave. I hope I don't get in trouble for that. Or at least I hope it uploads correctly, because whenever I do, because otherwise I'll have to fucking serve it. So, yeah. Damn you, Sonic. So yeah, we've just got an updated cage now we've got a lot of updated stuff. I've got a better looking chair and a ladder and a table for any of those matches that come up, for tables and matches and ladder matches or TLC matches and whatever. We can put up we got updated pictures for that. Like I said, I was just trying to make the match screens more presentable at this point, so everything needed to look better. So the cage, it took a little bit of a while to do that texture to put over the participants' faces. So, I didn't want to have to slave away to make a new one, but eventually I did get around to doing it. At some point, I can't remember when, but I did. Which should be used for cage and Hell in a Cell matches, respectively. So yeah, we were. So we had Metal Knuckles and Sonic in a number one contenders match in a tag team format of who else was going to be in here, and they were facing Mario and Aki, I believe. So obviously we couldn't have Aki in here because that would just be stupid and weird. Even though we had him in the next one, but that was up to the fans, so I gave him that. and I really wanted the pain to come down on Knuckles, seeing as he was coming off the Money in the Bank victory. So he hadn't necessarily proved himself, and of course the first retain was against Metal Sonic, where Luigi had cost him the championship. So I needed a legitimate, put Knuckles in there as a defiant champion that will stick around in one of the most barbaric matches probably ever made in wrestling history. Being in a fatal 4-way elimination match in the Hell in a Cell. And so I thought, well, let's put 3 heels in the match. Mandy obviously being one, Metal Knuckles being the other, and Sonic being the third at this point. And of course, Metal Knuckles and Sonic continuing that little friendship they had, so they had an alliance in there. And it wasn't hard to figure out who was going to get eliminated in the process that they did. The experienced one, we needed one of the people to drop out, and obviously Sonic was going to be last because we needed the shadow rivalry to continue. The best way to do that was in the most dramatic fashion you could, which is what we did, and then. So obviously Mandy was going to get eliminated before that, but Metal Knuckles needed to get needed to get thrown out because this was another way of getting Mandy over, because I think she's the one that eliminates Metal Knuckles. So so we're saying we're sticking behind Mandy. She's capable of eliminating the only person in this match with the match experience. So Metal Knuckles' job was for that in the cell simply, and then we left it up to, and then Mandy got eliminated, and then we left it up to Knuckles and Sonic, and then Sonic was going to end the match with Shadow doing whatever he was going to do, so we continued that rivalry, and then Knuckles would retain, but we kind of felt that Knuckles still hadn't earned his worth because Shadow would intervene this time around. It's just like every time Knuckles came around to defending his championship, someone would intervene to technically, shall we say, help him retain. So I thought, in the end of the day, let's just turn Knuckles heel, because obviously we can't find a way to make him absolutely have a legitimate victory win instead of a false one. So I may as well turn him heel. Which is what we did after ASIF. Not in the best way we could, but we did. No, we just had the excuse that he laid down for Mandy to help her win the championship when it came to that. So, yeah. That was the excuse, so there you go. And we just went full blown heel with Knuckles. Yeah, we hadn't planned that either. We wanted to keep Knuckles being a face up until Mascot Rumble. Or even we didn't want him to be the heel then. We wanted to still have whoever was going to win that competition you did and then they get to select who was going to face him. It was just going to be a case of just competition, and then we were going to turn Knuckles heel afterwards. So but we had to fast forward that because we didn't think that he was coming off as being a good face character the way he was winning all the time. So I may as well turn him heel, and then I think it made that match that they had with Bomberman on the Mascot Rumble that a little bit much more better than just being what it was supposed to be. Because of course you're not supposed to put a lot of thought into the championship matches at that kind of event, because the main focus would be the Mascot Rumble and who's going to be going forward into that. So the championship matches would be secondary. So not a lot of thought was required to put those into play, but yeah, it worked out better that way, definitely. We had Knuckles as a proper heel then, and facing the underdog person that never been in a championship match before was even better. So I have to thank the person who won that competition on the ASF forum. I think it was you, Yvonne, wasn't it? Yes, I remember him. Whoop. So, yeah, and then he picked Bomberman. So, yeah, that was cool. And it kind of worked, really. And I was happy about the end product. Well, we'll talk about more about that when the time comes. But in the meantime, we'll talk about this. If there is anything left to talk about, like I said, we don't know what we're going to talk about. It's all just unrehearsed madness. Certainly for now, because we're very tired. I'm going to have another drink, actually, and then I'm going to think about something as I drink to talk about. Does that sound good? Sounds good to me. Right. Oh. Yeah. So, yeah. I said it would be nice to have Metal Knuckles in there for the simple aspect that he'd be the only one with the match experience, but because he's backing up Sonic, then he may not be a favourite. But it was speculation as to if the relationship was going to break up in the cell here, but it didn't, of course. But you know, it's always nice to leave the opportunity hanging. For the fan speculation to ponder if it was going to happen or not. But we actually, this isn't a Fatal 4-Way match. This is actually a tag team match recorded in, which is why you only see, and it was obviously Sonic and Knuckles teaming up on one team, and then we had Mandy and Knuckles. I was trying to, I don't know who I was being exactly, I think it must have been Mandy, to obviously get that victory. But I was trying to attack Knuckles on the off occasion. But it was those two using their brains, saying, "Well, if they're united, then we better be united at least for the short term, so that we can take them both out and we can still be in contention for the championship." So, yeah, we did it in tag team format this first one, and then it was a triple threat, and then it was a 1-on-1, obviously. So yeah, this was actually done as a tag team match in the Hell in a Cell, not a Fatal 4-Way. But it helped get an easier victory, so to speak. So it was definitely necessary. I just noticed, as I said, that Metal Knuckles just kicked Sonic off a cover off of Mandy. Maybe I was playing as Metal Knuckles here because I was just trying to get Mandy to beat me up. I think maybe because, like I said, I'll always play as the most necessary person. So I was either playing as Mandy or I was playing as Metal Knuckles. Just so if ever Mandy did a finishing move to me and she pinned me, I would stay down instead of kicking out to put Mandy over. So I was just trying to attract Mandy's attention as much as possible. But also trying to mix it up to make it seem like I wasn't going after one person and it wasn't just two matches taking place inside the Hell in a Cell and it was a Fatal 4-Way. But there you go, I did the pump handle slam. Sonic didn't come to the rescue, luckily. He was too busy warming up for a finisher. And we get the victory. Hence why the camera zooms in on Knuckles and Mandy at the end there, if you noticed. After Mandy gets a victory, it zooms in on the two of those to show that they were the ones victorious. Because it was a team fight, as I pointed out. So, yeah, that's why it does that. So, yeah, Metal Knuckles got eliminated. Hooray. So now we can have a proper three-way match. And obviously Mandy was the next one needed to go. Because, you know, considering the backlash we got from from Mandy winning the championship in this match at ASIF, you know, we definitely needed to get Mandy out of here. And it would just be down to Knuckles and Sonic. So I think people were backing up Sonic to win this match as well. because he'd lost the Intercontinental Championship, so everyone was probably assuming he's going to lose that and win the World Championship instead. But no, we're just gonna keep we're not gonna make Knuckles the transitional champion we've made him out to be, and he's gonna retain. So live with it. Because we built up this all of the stuff before this to revolve around Knuckles and Mandy, and lo and behold, and we're gonna stick to it, And Knuckles is still the champion now, so it's all paid off in the end. For the long term run, it's probably the longest storyline but I always select who are we going to have this year as the focal point. Who do we want as being the champion going into Mascot Mania, because that's always obviously an important thing to do as well. And so we said let's build up Knuckles because he seems like that legitimate kind of tough ass fighter person from the Sonic series in general. So he should be the champion. So that's why we put all our focus and building him up and giving him some victories and some good credential victories and everything, and now he's the champion, and now he's going to go into Mascot Mania defending the championship. But will he retain or not? Like I said, we'll leave that up to speculation. As always, because obviously we're not going to give the results out of our biggest show. Because otherwise that would just be a dumbass move. Well, we can give you hints though. Telephones, remember that, telephones. I still love that clue. I don't care what you say about it. It's a terrible one. You're just saying that to throw everyone off. Yeah, that was the idea, but never mind. No, I'm just kidding. So I think we have an accidental breakage here. I forget which panel it was, but it was unintentional. Yeah, it was either one at the side or one at the top. I can't remember. Oh well, we're about to find out, I suppose. That'll keep us alive for the ending part of this match. When did the idea for us to have Shadow come in? Whose idea was that? Was that my idea, just to have him come in to continue the rivalry afterwards? Because inevitably it was, but I just wanted to put it into a high gear, hence to build up for the unsanctioned match. It was your idea, but I didn't think you came up with it until you were doing recording time. So you just said, wouldn't it be great if not only we had which is why we took away that all-important victory from Knuckles again that we'd planned, because originally we were just going to have him fall off the roof, and then you were going to have him come back and score a victory instead after falling off the roof. But then you said, why don't we have Shadow put Sonic through the roof with a pedigree, and just to continue that rivalry, and then Knuckles can just come along and do the pin thing and do what he's been doing. It's kind of like become his thing, just coming in and picking up the scraps afterwards because of the whole Money in the Bank thing. So we just went with that instead. So that was definitely on the fly during the recording of this event. Yeah, because I know, like I said, we knew that the rivalry was going to continue, but how was it going to continue? And that put the bullet point on that Shadow was definitely out for blood when it came to Sonic, and he was going to come into the Hell in a Cell match and pedigree him through the roof in true spectacular fashion. I couldn't have done it any better way. So that all paid off in the end. Does Knuckles even pick up a victory here? Who eliminates Mandy? Is it Sonic who eliminates Mandy? Because that'd be rather disappointing, because then Sonic's got more proof that he should be the champion. But I guess that's kind of like his thing. I didn't know who it fell down to at the end of the day.
It was just like whoever's going to pin me is going to pin me, because I was definitely playing as Mandy here in this one, I think. And just saying whoever ends up pinning me pins me. So, yeah, because it's going to be hard enough in a triple threat. Like I said, it's really hard in a triple threat environment without someone breaking up a special move or a pinfall attempt. So it's definitely required to do. Like I said, we're just going to have to find out. Oh, I enjoyed that bit there. What bit's that? Mandy was shaking the cage wall. Oh yeah. Oh, and there goes the roof. Not the roof. The wall. It was the upper part. I thought it was. So it's like, oh great, I've got to put that in the next match, and then that wall goes as well, I believe. Yeah, 2-in-1 blast. That wasn't my fault. That was Sonic doing that. And, like I said, I think I definitely was being Mandy at this point. I just thought I'd do that, and then you did a brilliant job, I think, of... Mandy was struggling to get out the cage, and then lo and behold, the roof, the wall breaks, so I don't want to keep referring heads to the roof. And the wall breaks, and I'm like, well, she can get out now. But she refuses not to. So that kind of ruined that little moment there, but hey, I left it in. It was kind of like on a hilarious scale that Mandy wanted to get out, and lo and behold, she just got launched through the wall. But you sold that really well, I think. just like being very pitiful towards Mandy, saying, oh, don't worry about it and everything. Yeah, I had fun doing that, to be honest. That was definitely a bit of a laugh towards me, my end, and I enjoyed doing that. Thought it was necessary to do, seeing as Mandy was shaking the cage. And that was actually my intention. I knew you were going to do something when I did that. And that process is actually quite simple to shake the cage, because that's the animation used to bring people down from climbing it. Because you can't do that, oddly, in this game. So you just walk up to the cage and press the grapple button, and then the person just starts shaking the cage. So that was like Mandy was trying to get out the cell. So that was nice. And then you played off of it brilliantly. So I commend you for that. I might as well address the issue of Sonic's shoes, actually. I haven't done that yet, and I should have ages ago. But Sonic has yellow on his shoes, and the only reason that he does have yellow on his shoes is his design. I'm basing the shoes off of so that they stand out. Is actually the soap shoes that he had in, for those of us who are gamers, in Sonic Adventure 2. He has the soap shoes to grind on, those grinding shoes that have the little archway underneath. You know what I'm talking about, Eggman, don't you? What? What is this? The soap shoes. They have like an arch underneath. It's this big load of padding underneath the shoe, and it has like an archway in the middle of them, so you can grind down rails on them. Oh yeah, they're popular in Japan, I think. So did he wear those then? Yeah, he did. Like I said, in one Pacific game. So that's just like a shout out for that, because it is one of my most favourite Sonic games of all time. Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, before the series took a downfall, in my opinion, anyway. The yellow there is because it's the soap shoes, and it kind of makes them stand out over other characters who did have the same design, specifically Tails, who has that design. I think there's the Mandy pinfall. Yep, Sonic gets the victory. There you go. More excuse that he should be champion. He eliminated somebody in the match. Yeah, but he didn't eliminate the champion. Yeah, and there we go. I tried to create the the comeback spot from there because the cage had been broken, so I needed to keep it broken. So we just had a flash and Knuckles was still down and Sonic was still up in the same location, so that was all good, that transition. But now we were trying to break the cage as much as possible, so here's me breaking another panel of the cell down below. So we had 3 panels broken in total. And then 1 from the ceiling, etc. So it really panned out as like a death-defying match because so much of the cell was broken at the end of it. So yeah. There's Sonic having the brave act of having to climb up the cell because obviously I'm playing as him at this point because I needed to throw Knuckles off the cell because obviously they don't have that kind of intellect to do that, because in order to do that on this game you have to get their spirit level that's showing there in the heartbeat thing. You have to make it blue, so you have to notice that make it blue. And then, so this is what I'm trying to do with the rock bottoms here. Bam. Or the Undisputed Slam, as it's actually called now, as of this point. After Survivor Series. Boom. There you go. Knuckles has now got blue on his spirit level. And I can throw him off. Hey! And the table didn't break. So that made it even more cringe-worthy. Yeah, I remember that, and it was like, ow, that's gonna hurt. If that was in real life. I mean, the way he landed on it as well, just face first. That was just horrible. Just a nasty way to land. So yeah, we were selling the fact that, you know, Knuckles was out and Sonic was standing over just in shock and amazement and everything of what he'd just done. And then Shadow's gonna creep up behind him and suddenly grab him. Here I am, out of nowhere, coming to do a jackhammer, which is another kind of more powerful move we gave Shadow as well. But it was kind of like the jackhammer is used more as a desperation kind of move for Shadow. In case he's not getting a victory, we can use the jackhammer thing. Because someone kicking out of that move looks like you've broken it up. So, you know, we can use the excuse to break it up, even if it wasn't going to be, as a desperation kind of maneuver for Shadow. And there's the pedigree through the roof. In all intents and purposes, from the way it looks, is Sonic should have had his head cut off from the ropes for when he fell through, or from the cell being that, because we were on the edge. We weren't exactly over the top of the panel. We were on the side of it. So Sonic would have lost his head if it was in real life, but luckily this wasn't. So Sonic still has his head on his shoulders, and here comes Knuckles jumping down. This is 3 different recordings. One of obviously Knuckles being thrown off, and then a separate recording came in of Shadow becoming behind Sonic and then doing the pedigree, and then the 3rd and final recording all being put together in post of Knuckles climbing down from the announce table and going over to Sonic and pinning him. That was done with 2 controllers, obviously. Because I do have 2 controllers, so I make the most out of them. In fact, I have 4 controllers, because there are some segments where a lot of people need to stand around in the ring, and I've only bought 4 controllers for the very premise of that. That's the only reason I have 4 controllers for the game. So I can have people just stand where they are for promos and interviews and moments like this as well. So yeah, I only had 2 different views because I didn't want Knuckles to get in the shot of when Shadow was coming in, because otherwise everything would be a bit too stretched and far out. I just wanted a close up on the roof of Shadow putting Sonic through, and then he could run off, and then Knuckles comes back in, and the focus comes back on Knuckles coming in. And then, yeah. So there you go. I think that wraps it all up. Luckily we had stuff to talk about the whole way through, and we managed to survive the whole 2 hours. Despite the fact we are absolutely bushed and knackered. We're probably just going to go to bed now. Yeah, I am, but I need to go home to do that.
Well, you've been having enough rest there. He's been lying across the sofa the whole time. He hasn't been sitting there like he has been for every other time. But it's very late. And but luckily we made it all the way through. Just yeah. But yeah, thanks all so much for watching. We're going to call it a close here. And coming up next at some point will be No Way Out, which is longer than this event, amazingly enough. But yeah, a lot of things to talk about on that front. So yeah, we'll be covering No Way Out coming up next. So yeah, we'll see you all then. But thanks for watching or listening to us here for this one, for the events in and around Armageddon and all that jazz. And we'll see you at No Way Out. So say goodbye, Eggman. Oh, goodbye. He's so dead. Then again, I kind of am. I'm going to be going to bed in a minute. So, so like, how did you even box me over to come over to do this? Oh, I just did. You know you wanted to do it. Yeah, it wasn't an event I was particularly heavily involved in, but I was involved in it enough to come over and do it. Yeah, but we were definitely both more involved in No Way Out. So I think we've said it to everyone that me and you mostly do the stuff on Smashdown, and then I just do the stuff on Raw along with anyone else who wants to contribute, and then if I need pointers anywhere or you just have an idea, you'll tell me it. So this is mostly my ideas, and then Smashdown is both of our ideas, even though technically it should be the other way around, but you know, just it works out like that, I suppose. Because Raw, you don't just get the same two people doing the same show, you get different people having different input, therefore you get different show all the time, or at least a different variety of stuff happening, instead of just it coming from the two same people all the time. So yeah, that's probably why we do it. That is why we do it. Right. Anyway, yes, we're going to call it a close because we're just looking at a black screen here and it's making me fall asleep. So thanks all so much for listening or watching, and once again we will see you for No Way Out. So yes, goodbye, and goodbye for now anyway.